this year. Okay. So, we'll get started. Pella area quilters. Oh. I just thought we'd mix it up a little bit. We've always done alphabetical, and I thought we'd just mix it up. Oh, we're a key. You want to come up here to the podium, and then that can be recorded. Up here, okay. Well, I'm Judy Willard from Pella Area Quilter Guild. This is Carol Dankowski. I'm going to say her name wrong. We also have Cindy Carlo. Step out for a bit. This is our raffle quilt. Our Tulip Time quilt show is coming up. I should have looked at the dates again. It's the first weekend in May. It's like 3, 4, 5, 6.
And 6.
What?
First weekend of May would include day 6.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
Saturday.
Sunday. It's just Wednesday through
The
Saturday.
6th is a Saturday.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll let everybody
So,
else have that.
We actually start the show a day before the Tulip Festival. And then that's a good time to come if you're, if you want to find parking. We have changed. Okay, let's talk about this in a minute. Raffle quilt. Permission granted by Bonnie Hunter to use her pattern. I believe it's 89. I just looked at by 73 or something. So that's that.
And we do have, if you're interested in a ticket, we have those here today, so.
And how much are your tickets?
$1 a piece or 6 for $5 usual. And what we do is just take your name and address and then we fill out 6 to throw in. Okay, so. Our guild has on the membership list about, I counted this morning, between 50 and 60. I would say active members are probably 35 to 40. So what else do you talk about with these things?
When do you meet?
First Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. at Third Reformed Church in Pella. We do have a summer picnic and a fall September anniversary meeting. We also do 2 retreats, a March retreat, end of February, 1st of March, and then an October fall retreat at the Newton Conference Center. That's quite a lot of fun. I know lots of people are doing retreats now, and I love every second of going to a retreat. I actually get something accomplished. Seems like there was something else. Does anybody have any questions about Pella? Our big thing is the quilt show, and that's coming up. We right now have 126 entries. We changed locations. If you've been there before, we were at the old community center upstairs, a little difficult to find. On the square this year, on the west side of the square, Pella Memorial Building, street level. So parking is a little bit trickier, but not, I mean, there's never any parking anywhere. You just have to get lucky. And, but it's right in the middle of everything. So that'll be good. It's between food stands. So not too far across diagonally from the bakery. So feel free to come join us for our quilt show. We'll be glad to see you. Thank you. About my house, kitchen,
Have you guys? Don't spill the cup. This is my half good stitch and quilt guild, okay?
We have been active since 1988, I'm sorry. And we currently have 32 members. We meet on the second Thursday at 6:30 of the month. And we have social time at 6 o'clock.
We have a weekly community sew day at the Penn Central Mall, which is in the center of Oskaloosa. And there we kind of demonstrate our quilt, our skills. This is our challenge that we did last year by November. This is Sisterhood. So we picked 2 Villa Rosa patterns and everybody did, you know, a different colorway. We had patriotic, you know, 30s, all kinds of different ones. This one is the spools one. And then you want to show that one?
Yeah.
So everybody did different colorways and that was kind of, it was fun. So that one's spools. This year's challenge for our guild members, we only do one a year, is we're gonna, instead of doing, we're doing a color scheme challenge, is triadic. Where, you know, complementary is on the color wheel, you do have a color on the opposite sides, where we're gonna do triadic, which is 3 colors. And I went around to Menards and got paint chips. And so like this one, the primary color would be purple, and then you've got kind of a yellow orange and aqua green, but I just put it in an envelope and then people draw, so chances are one of those colors is something people don't use. So that's the challenge, is to kind of stretch your color scheme. Retreats this year or in the spring and summer, we're at Bradbury Hall, which is at Nelson Pioneer Farm. And so it's a kind of a heritage farm, and they've got all kinds of buildings, but they've got a big hall there that they use for wedding receptions. And then in the fall, we have a 3-day retreat. We just started last year, and we do that with the Knoxville Peacemakers Quilt Guild. And it's at Lakeview Christian Camp, and it's located south of Pella. They've got a beautiful area. It's fairly new, and we've really enjoyed it. There were about 20 people that were together in this retreat. Had a great time. Programs, last year we shared, we used members because of COVID, it's kind of hard to bring speakers in. So last year we did what members kind of specialized in or had interest in, like the history and use of buttons, making a crumb quilt, using selvages in projects, wedding ring quilts, Irish chain quilts, creative ways to recycle worn out quilts, tips on taking your quilt projects with you while traveling in the car or on vacation, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Amish inspired quilts. And this year we kicked it off with Melanie McNeil sharing a lecture and trunk show about life is funny, or how I learned to embrace uncertainty. A very interesting and funny talk. Future programs include preserving historic quilts, all you need to know about needles, Mary Cecil's journey from traditional to art quilts, Hardanger Norwegian embroidery stitches and designs. That's a lady from Pella that's coming to talk to us. Making an ice cream cozy. Tammy Hammer trunk show featuring pineapple block quilts. Our community service project was Change a Child's Story, where we made the book pillows. We brought those last year, where you insert a book and we give it to children in the elementary school that maybe don't have a lot of resources or need some encouragement to read a book. And so we did 66 book pillows for that. So, any questions? Yes.
You said you had about 32 members.
Yes.
How many of those members participate in your yearly challenge?
Probably about half. We had 20. Some of them picked, you know, they just had to pick one. So I think I ordered, and I called Villa Rosa, and they gave us those little patterns for $1 each. So if you do a group order and call in, you know, there's a number there on their website. And say you're a quilt guild and you're doing this, they'll give you the little patterns for $1. So, forgot that little tip. Discount. It's a good thing.
On your book pillows?
Yeah.
Which students got those?
The elementary teachers did that. We had 2 teachers coordinated with the schools, and they were already doing this, but it was kind of our idea, instead of wrapping paper, to put them in a pillow. So.
Tablecloth quilt guild?
I am Tammy Herbst. I'm with the Cable Car Quilt Guild in Dubuque, Iowa. We meet on the 3rd Monday of every month, 6:45 to 8:45. Generally at Keystone AA. Membership dues are $25 a person per year, and then business memberships are a different rate. This year, October 12th and 13th, I believe it is, we are doing a quilt show in Dubuque. I believe we have 10 vendors that will be at our quilt show. We'll have quilts. We have 2 raffle quilts that we will be raffling off. They're in the process of being made right now, so we do not have pictures, but check out our Facebook page in a few months. They'll probably be on there. We do have raffle baskets. We'll have silent auction, all that good stuff. Last year, one of our big programs, other than some classes that we did a monthly challenge for a 12-inch block that a pattern was sent out. I found some patterns that were free on the internet, sent out 2 blocks a month, and people could choose their own colors to do. And then the challenge over those 6 months was to get the 12 blocks done. And then they had another month or so to sash it together, quilt it together, bind it, and bring it back finished. And our hope was either to give it away at our community service projects or our Quilt of Valor. And then this year, we're doing that same challenge because people really like that, but it's with different blocks, and it's called Black, White, and the Color. And so what I did is I put a whole bunch of crayons. I went to the Dollar Tree. I got a whole bunch of crayons. I put them all in a bag. People got to pick out a color. And so they have to use some shade of that color in the quilt with black and white or variations of black and white. So 2 blocks a month again. And then so that will be finished with the blocks in June. We'll have them sashing together, quilted together, hopefully by about September. We are also doing another project for our quilt show. It is trying to make fidget blankets or fidget kind of like black blankets. So we're just having people bring in 8-inch blocks that they finish. And so, or the tops of them, and then we're going to put them together. We'll get together like August, September, put them all together, get it all ready to go for our quilt show, and then be able to donate it to either Alzheimer's units, or we have like a Hills and Dales in Dubuque. They deal with autistic kids and things like that. So and it's an inpatient place. So it'll go to one of those 2 places. Last year, we also did placemats for Meals on Wheels. That's in Dubuque, Delaware, and like a little bit of, I think I helped cover a little bit of Jackson County. But we made about 275 placemats. So it was super, super cool. And then Meals on Wheels took them out. People got to pick what kind of placement they wanted and everything like that. So kind of a super cool thing. Just trying to really give back to the community and promote our guild to give back to the community. We have about 75 members. I would say on average, we have 40 to 50 at a guild meeting every month. And last year, I think we ended up with about 25 community service projects given back just out of our little block of the month challenge. So any questions?
When is your quilt show?
October 12th and 13th, it's at the Dubuque County Fairgrounds in Dubuque. at the Grand Ballroom, which is just the biggest building on the property.
Actually, October 13th and 13th.
October 13th and 14th. It's the Friday, Saturday. Yep,
You have a flyer that's gonna be in your envelope.
we do. We have some little bookmarks. If you want some extra bookmarks, I do have some extra ones with me as well. But it is on our both our flyer for the guild, and then we have like a little bookmark that will go along with it too. Probably about 75, is that right, Kelsey?
Yeah.
Right in that area?
Right in there,
Yeah.
Those are active or just all together? All together,
All
there's
together.
about, usually every month about 40.
40 to 50, yeah. All right, thank you.
East Iowa heirloom quilters. That's all right. Hi, I'm Cindy from East Iowa Heirloom Quilters in Cedar Rapids. We are your host today. If you don't like the food, please complain. The complaint department's up on the 3rd floor. I don't have to hold up a quilt. We have ours there. Our quilt show is July 21st and 22nd. We will be at the Prairie High School right off of 380. You know, where you usually see a school bus there. We're right there by the we will have Scott Flanagan doing trunk show, and we have a featured quilter. We have Quilts of Valor. They'll be doing a presentation. We have several vendors, and we have our boutique. Our challenge, our quilt show challenge is our quilt show is quilt for all seasons. So our quilt chair decided we're going to make Christmas stockings. So everyone's making Christmas stockings. We're going to donate. We're giving them to half of them or some of them to the Marines for Toys or Tots. And the others we will fill and go to nursing homes around our area. So we have that going on. We also will be showing one of our community projects. We were approached by a lady that was doing something to commemorate COVID. She had got our masks that we had made at Mercy Hospital that they did not use and wanted to make a quilt. And she called it the Red Thread Project. So this is to honor all the people that passed in Lynn County from COVID. So we made the quilt. There was a couple of, we had a sew-in day, and we all put the masks together, the blocks together. And one lady put them, joined it all together, quilted. It's been shown, and family members, when they do the celebration, family members that lost someone or was affected by COVID can come and tie red threads on. And it's going to be shown throughout Lynn County at different areas and different functions, and it will be at our quilt show. So we have flyers that will be in, talk about our programs that we have coming up. And let's see, President's Challenge. I had one because we were all confined at home. Mine was all the places I'd go because we all dreamt of where we were going to go. So that's what's going to be on display at the quilt show. We had some very unique quilts made for that, and they all kind of tell a story about where we wanted to go. This year I took a magazine. I just had everybody bring magazines, no quilting magazines, no sewing. And we just had a table full of magazines, and everybody took a magazine. And I randomly told them to turn to this page, and they tore that page, and that's what they're going to make and use for an inspiration. They're going to save that picture in a page protector, and then they're going to write up their train of thought to get from that page to their little quilt or whatever. And because we have a quilt show, I says it can be anything 12 inches or bigger. I wasn't going to press anybody to make a big quilt. So we have SOS in our group. I didn't tell them, 244 members, and it's growing all the time. usually does when we have a show. We meet the fourth Monday of the month. We have a morning meeting at 9 o'clock. And then we have an evening meeting at 6:30. And let's see, what else? Our SOS sewing group donate to Families Helping Families. Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which is people, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's people getting beds for the first time. People make beds and give them to children. We donate. There's another sewing group that donates to Iowa organ donors. And we have donated 265 quilts to Iowa donors. That's the only one I've numbers for. I think our other ones were like 300 to go to the other various information. That's it. Being a board member is not hard for 2 meetings, so I wish everybody would join.
Okay, keepsake Quilters Guild. Keepsake. Not here. Not so perfect piecers.
There's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. You have a lot of members. We should join. Where are you?
I'm going to read mine, I'm going to read fast. So.
Sorry, it's gone.
Can use a model. Okay. I'm Loretta Jones, and the Not So Perfect Pieces, I think probably you all caught on, that's KNOTSEW and then PIECERS. Can you hear me? I have a tendency to talk low. Okay, quick stats. Membership, 15. We have a cost of $20 a year. We're organized in 98. Our only male quilters add spice to our group. We have a president, a treasurer, and no other officers. We represent the communities of Wellsburg, Ackley, Appleton, Grundy Center, Holland, and Eldora. Our meeting is the second Monday of each month at the Wellsburg Public Library, 4:30 for a discussion group, 6 o'clock for group meeting, old and new business plus show and tell. The 2023 challenge, I'm winded. Anyone showing a fully completed UFO will have their name entered into a drawing in December when we will draw for prizes. 2 of our members are AQS appraisers, and there's 78. That's what the current number is. We have 5 members on the long arm and 2 more with a sit-down long arm version. Remember, 15. 1 member is a coordinator with Miracle Burn Camp, where she provides new campers with a quilt. Our gifted Matt quilter works in hospice in the quilt donation program, and being a whiz at resizing patterns is a real help. We have Quilts of Valor coordinator. We are not admitting how old we are, although the 60 to 80 some group is in the majority. Our rules, well, not many, maybe food, since we bring food between the discussion group and meeting. And the rule is clean up after yourself and follow the library rules. Our meetings start with a roll call, and there's always a question. Those questions can lead to some interesting commentary. If you attend the month of your birthday, you can choose 2 fat quarters from a tub with hundreds of choices. For $2 each, they can buy others if they hear they're calling their name. As noted, we meet at the Wellsburg Public Library, and they allow us to keep a book rack in the storage room. Also, we keep supplies like irons, ironing boards, and cutting mats. Over time, we have also added to the supply of tables, a new vacuum, special things like the library needs, which includes a yearly subscription to Block Magazine. They do not charge for meeting room use. Those Mondays can also work into days for our projects. Now, the projects that we support. Quilts of Valor, members donate 2 blocks using the current year's pattern. Each month we collect and donate funds to 1 of 4 food pantries in the area, and then in December they all receive $50. Our big project each year is making gifts for a group of Waterloo, Iowa called the North Star Head Injury Program. We make things like clothing protectors. We all know what those are. And in fact, this last year, in December, we delivered 66 of those. I lost my track. Did I say that we support the Sissy Sews each month? Our president manages 3 days of sewing at the Wellsburg Public Library, Thursday through Saturday at the cost of $20 for 3 days. And if you're wondering, Sissy is a nickname. The head injury program is this, where we donated 66 of these last year. We donate quilts, decorations, food, and fun things like bags or pillowcases. Make tons of those. And then there are little gifts like this year we made the bags to put your bar of soap in to take a shower or bath with. Members make lap quilts for the hospice organization and currently quilts for men in military and most needed. And we just agreed to take tops from a woman who lost the organization to which she was donating tops. We will get them completed and donated to law enforcement agencies for children hurt by disasters, accidents, and home removal. That's it. Any questions?
That's me. Good morning, ladies. I'm Laura Strickland, and I'm the programs chair for the Mississippi Valley Quilters Guild. There is a sheet in the folder that tells you what we have coming up. We currently have 239 members for Hot on Your Tail. We only have a biannual quilt show, so our next quilt show is moving to October instead of September, so it's October 19th and 20th of 2024. We bring in a lot of national speakers. We usually do at least 2 within the 2-year period, sometimes as many as 4. We currently have David Taylor coming in June, and there's we have him for 3 classes, and in 2 of the classes, we have room for approximately 3 other people. You can sign up for the classes, even though you're not a member of our guild, if you'd like to come. They are going to be June 8th and 9th. June 8th is hand applique, and June 9th is precision machine piecing. We then have Mary Zeisinger coming in October. She's from Ohio, and she has been a quilt judge, and she is giving us 2 lectures. We meet on the first Tuesday of every month in the afternoon at 1 and in the evening at 7, and she'll give us 2 separate lectures that night. You're welcome to come as a guest for those lectures. And in November, we have Kim LePasic and Trish Franklin from Project Quilting coming. And they will be talking about project quilting at the 1 o'clock lecture and other collaborations at the 7 o'clock lecture. We are having a workshop with them, but we do not open up the workshop to non-members until 30 to 60 days before the actual workshop. So keep your eyes open for that. You can find the information on our website at Mississippi Valley mvquiltersguild.com. And that's on the bottom of the form that you got from me in your packet. I think that's it. Oh, and we are in contact with Ben Millett to have him come in either March or April of 2024. That's all we've got going right now. Our quilt for our show is in production right now, and I know what it looks like because I'm on the people putting it together, but we haven't debuted it yet. So, because it's not till 2024, we'll debut it in September. That's all I have. Northeast Iowa Quilters Guild.
See if I can do 2 things at once. Northeast Iowa Quilt Guild encompasses 4 counties. We are in Albuquerque County, Clayton County, Fayette County, and Winnebago County. We have about 64 to 70 members in that range. We do a airing of the quilts in Decorah in the summer. Check our Facebook or website for the dates.
They are hung on people's porches, then you get a list of addresses, then you go drive around to Decorah and look at quilts.
It's quite fun.
Yeah.
You
Type.
need that?
It will be on the website. I don't have the official date, and we have the raid issues, so check the website, which is neiqg.com. Our show is not until 24. We're working on our raffle quilt right now. So that pretty much takes care of that. We've had some interesting programs. We had one of the shops near us come and they have panels. I believe they had over 200 panels and they brought kits and they displayed quilts made with the panels. And it was a very fun program. It was Forest Mills Quilt. We have another. Yes. And they did a wonderful program. So if you're looking for somebody in the air to come, we have Mike Ellingson, who has also done programs. He was in the Quilt Museum down in Winterset. As the men's quilters when they had that display. He does different programs also. Our project right now is 400 pillowcases because it is our 40th year anniversary type of thing. And our challenge from last year was from the Seed Saver catalog. The Decorah Seed Savers catalog, and you picked out something from somewhere in the catalog and made a quilt inspired. It's on display at Seed Savers, I think until it's coming up real close here at the end. I don't have the actual dates. And I believe it's going to be at the Minnesota Quilt Show as a display. And they're talking about taking it also to Madison. But I believe that is going to be in a year because their theme for that year is gardening. So, I think that's all I can tell you at this moment. Any questions?
Calico cut-ups and Mosa.
Hello, my name is Julie Parity and I'm from Anamosa. And I guess there's two groups called Calico Cut-Ups, and we're one of them. I think the other one's Independence. Anyway, we've been together for 35 years. And we have a membership. It ranges usually between 25 and 35 people. We've gotten close to 40 at times. And probably 25 or more show up for our meetings. We meet in we're kind of split up as far as the way we meet. We meet from March to November on Saturdays, okay, Saturday mornings, and we have 2 all-day sews. One is in March and the other one is in November. We meet at the Lawrence Center in Anamosa. It's our community center. And we also, and that's the first Saturday from Monday through March. And then April through September, we meet on Monday nights from 7 to 9. And that's the first Monday. And I guess it was the way they brought it together, the way that it started, so that we would have people that had to work. They did the Saturday morning meetings and then or the Monday night meetings kind of thing. So it just kind of opened up to more people to be able to come to the meetings. So we just kept it for the whole time. We've done quite a few challenges lately. We did a paint chip challenge. I didn't bring anything with me. I didn't even think to bring anything to show you, and I apologize. But we did a blind challenge where we had a grouping of paint chips together and you had to draw them out. And you had to make a quilt with those 3 colors that were together, kind of thing. And it was interesting. We had a very good turnout for that. I would say probably close to maybe 15 to 20 people actually did that challenge. And it was really fun. It was to get you out of your comfort zone using different fabrics, colors that you normally don't use. And we did a program called flower pounding. I don't know if anybody's done flower pounding before, but it was really fun. I was doing the programs at that time, and I prepared the fabric. I went online and I researched what I needed to do to prepare the fabrics for dyeing, basically. And so I prepared a bunch of white fabric and cut them up in squares. And we brought in flowers, but then you could bring some from your garden. We did this in a June or July time, so it was prime time to get flowers, pretty much. And we found out that the best thing to use are very thin petal flowers like pansies and, you know, those, I would say probably irises, and those, they're too thick, they're too watery. So when you pound them out, they blurred, but you get thin and also real pretty different leaves make very pretty pounding. So you just flip them down, put something over the top of them and pound them with a hammer, and they turn out beautiful. They were absolutely gorgeous. And I had made a little quilt and I should have brought it, but sorry about that. I can post it, I guess, online. So that was fun. We did a couple different kind of, I call them sew-alongs, because every month I sent out the blocks from Pat Sloan has all of hers, most of her stuff is free downloads. So we did a Home is one of her quilts. And then the one that we're doing now is Be My Neighbor. And so everybody gets emailed out usually three blocks at a time. And so it's usually a 6-month kind of program where they, and then like they'll finish this one in June of this year, and we will display, or everybody will bring them in September, whether they got them quilted, all quilted, or if they just have them, you know, just the top done. And we do a picture. And I think we had on Home is probably 14 people that did quilts for that one. And this one we have 19 listed. So we'll be showing it this coming September for the one that we're doing now, which is the neighbor, Be My Neighbor. And so those are fun. We're getting really good participation, I think, in a lot of our programs. We are small and we rely on our members to do demonstrations of rulers. We had one of our people do one on the 180 rulers, and that got a bug in me because I've never used them before, and now I'm going to be obsessed with them. So that was very interesting. We had another one of ours did a presentation on bias binding, bias tape kind of thing, and she can do it with like just, what was it? One seam, and like, it was really interesting. Anyway, he did it with one seam and just a few cuts kind of thing. It was amazing. So that was very interesting. And she does bias binding on everything. And so she was telling us about that. I did a freezer paper demonstration of piecing, which was fun. And just all kinds of different programs that we're doing with no cost. Being a small thing, we just can't bring people in to talk. We just don't have the funds. We charge $25 per member, and most of that goes to the Lawrence Center for the room that we rent. So that doesn't leave us much to do much of anything else. So, yeah, I think that's all I have. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Old capital folders.
My name's Kristen Somerville, and I'm on the program committee for Old Capitol Quilters, which is located in Iowa City. We meet at our Redeemer Lutheran Church on the third Monday of the month. Second Monday of the month. By the way, there is an information sheet that'll show up in your packet that will talk a lot about what we've done in terms of the speakers, our service committee, and what we have coming up. But what I want to talk to you about today, just briefly, is something that our new president, Laura Hopkins, and our past president, Julie Johnson, have kind of been trying to get us all to kind of come to grips with and actually think about. And that is the fact that our guild is 40 years old. Not a lot has changed in what guilds do in the last 40 years. And we are really trying to focus on building community, not only within our guild, but also connectivity to the community at large around us. And so those are the two things we're focusing on. And we have a lot of strategic thinkers within our group. And so I give you two examples of how we're doing that, but the process is just beginning and continuing. One is we upped our social media. And I won't go into detail about that. You probably all know that, but a lot of us are older and we needed newer members, younger members. We had a quilt show. It was the idea of our past president, who is Julie Johnson, and she happened to be the chair of Parks and Recreation for the city of Iowa City. And they had a new building that was the Public Works building. It's the building that houses trucks. And she conceived of the notion to have a quilt show within this space. So we would work in concert with their grand opening. It was called Beauty and the Beast. It was in May of 2021. And it was a huge success. It was a beautiful show, but beyond that, it brought in all sorts of people who came with their children to see the show, to see the big trucks. But they had a new appreciation of quilts by seeing that particular show. Within the next 4 months, we got 25 new members to our guild. And a lot of them were younger members. The other thing that's happened, and this was from Pam Earhart, who was the chair of that show. She decided, seeing that these new members were coming into the guild, you know, you want to get them involved really quickly so they have ownership in the guild. So she formed what's called a newcomers group. And it's a hands-on active group. They have little mini workshops that nobody pays for. They're all free. A lot of them are done by members who have a talent they would like to share. And the intention is for them to begin to form small groups. Because I think we're finding our guild is about 140 people. We bring in national speakers, you know, people come to, and they're fabulous. But we don't have a lot of social time. We don't sit around like you do in your small group and talk and commune and give each other ideas. So these new small groups are all in conjunction with what we're trying to do. We found when COVID slowed us down, we didn't meet in person. The church closed down. So for almost 2 years, we just had Zoom meetings and it was very isolating. And we realized that huge aspects of quilting always used to be in our grandmother's time, the community that you form with other quilters, the things you learn, not only about quilting, but about one another. And so I say that that's our focus for the future. We're trying to really embrace that wonderful old aspect of quilting that a lot of us have sort of lost. You know, machine quilting is done by one person in a room or whatever. So we continue to have national speakers. We just had Mary Curran. We flew her in because we had a lot of money since we had not had a speaker for about 2 years. So we continue to do that. As I said, next year's lineup is on the flyer. We have some great people coming, and we've decided to do a combination of Zoom to bring in those people from like Alaska, from places we couldn't afford to have come. So we kind of alternate those. We have some of those during the winter season, which is really good. And people seem to like the Zooms. The information that you're seeing, if they're showing a quilt, is right up close on your screen. You're not like that far away from it, looking at it across a room. So I think that's really all I wanted to say, is we're kind of on a new wicket. And Laura Hopkins is our new president. She's our main strategic thinker. She comes from a scientific background. So what would you expect? So we're excited about this, and we're trying to get all aspects of it. We want to engage more with the community. That's where that Public Works Quilt Show came in. We want to engage more with one another within, and that's where the new clump covers come in. So that's all I got to say. Any questions?
I have a question. When you're doing the Zoom presentations, are your members coming to one location, one?
We have not
or
been.
Do you do it each in their own homes?
Each in their own homes to date, but we're considering seeing if we can do that so that we could have kind of a hybrid. And we could do some of the things like, I've loved hearing all the ideas you guys have had about things you do, the free little things that you do, the demonstrations and presentations like that, because that's what we want to do more of, to have our own. We have an amazing group of talent, as we all do in our guilds, and we need to show off ourselves and share ourselves more.
What do you do with members who don't?
I don't think we have any. Everybody does. Yeah, and we have.
We talked about that.
Yeah, that's a hard. That's hard, unless they could go to somebody's house. Yeah.
Okay, in the past, it's been requested that we have a 10-minute break during the middle. This is about the middle. Gonna take 10 minutes to restroom break or stretch your legs.
Hi, I'm Bob Delhart from Albia. Forgive my voice, I'm not contagious. I've already been to the doctor. It's just allergies in Southern Iowa. They're horrible. So bear with me here. I'll eliminate anything that was on my list that you've already talked about, and we'll just go for it. We meet the third Thursday at 6 o'clock. We have social eating time, and it depends on who's on the committee, whether you get, of course, dinner or not. At 5:30 before, we have about 40 some odd members and about 20 to 30 that are really active members. They come and go during the seasons and stuff. Our quilt show that we have had every year forever and ever and ever, which is associated with our restoration days because they restored the town square. Completely redid the buildings and all that good stuff. So we've been associated with them, so it's restoration days. That committee has decided they're moving their quilt show or moving that celebration to April. Well, we don't have enough time to do that, so, so we voted not to have one this April, so it'll be April 2024, so you're all invited about that. Some of the things we do, we did 170 some odd little May baskets that are fabric. I didn't bring one in my packet, but they're about that big. And they go to the nursing homes there, and they really enjoy those. And we do after prom quilts. We have prom, and they have the after prom festivities, and then they do a drawing. And it's specifically for a senior boy. We have two after prom quilts in the school college, specifically for a senior boy and a senior girl. One year, I don't know, we've done it for years, and they didn't specify that, so someone from another school won that. That didn't go over too well, so we now have it written right on there. Please, it's the Albia boys and girls. One of the challenges we have coming up is a panel. You take a panel, and instead of just putting borders and borders, we have piece borders, and one of our members did a really good program on piece borders, all different kinds of piece borders you can put on there. So we're looking forward to that challenge. As far as community, when you were talking about trying to get the community together, one of the things we do is called PMS, and it used to be not what you think it is. Although, yeah, it was called Pizza, Munchies, and Sewing, and we get together every other month on a Friday. And and lately we've added the community, and it's just called Sit and Sew, and anybody in the community can come once a month and just sew with us. And that we were hoping to garner more new members that way, but so far we haven't garnered too many of those. So I don't know what they're doing. But so instead of the pizza, because we got kind of burned out on pizza, it's now just potluck, bring whatever. And we have 1 o'clock workshops occasionally during our meetings, and we just finished one, which I'll show you what we did. Sharon will appreciate this. We did, you're all familiar with funny faces. We call them funny faces, but Sojin Empy does those, and you see them online. But we decided last year at our quilt show, we had a whole bunch of these. We had 20 some odd of these hanging up, but this is kind of what it is. And this actually is homage to my daughter. She's in Monticello. She's a library and media specialist, and I was talking to her for, well, it used to be the district. Now she only does middle school and high school. She finally has somebody else doing the elementaries. But I was talking to her one day, and she said, I don't know what's going on. The teachers are all going crazy. The kids don't, I've lost their computers. They've lost their passwords. They've done this, they've done that. And the teachers are sending people down to me for research work. And I didn't even know they're coming, so I have nothing pulled for them. So they're driving me bananas. So that's her story. That's her story. So this is a fun deal if you get your group to do this. It's just fun. And
It is very fun.
Yeah, we did Sharon's group, and they had a blast. They were, and we enjoyed them. And the other one I just did. You can't listen to my notes. This is called, let me read her story here. Hattie's having Camp Grandma. Have you all been there? Camp Grandma? For her 6 grandkids during spring break. She has done crafts, played games, cooked more meals than she is used to, settled arguments, laughed, and running on hardly any sleep. It is day 4 of 5. She has enjoyed having them, and will miss them the day after they go back home. Today she's exhausted and wishing it was tomorrow, and thinking of the peace and quiet of watching the fish swimming in her creek. And this is batik with fish in it. So I felt this way. I love you kids, but geez, my face. And the new one we're doing, because we're about this year, we're about, COVID and everything, everybody got kind of down. We're about what I call learn, what's fun with learning. And this was one of the things we were doing just to have fun with your quilting. So in July, we're going to do art in the park. And we're actually going to the park. As long as it doesn't pour down rain, we're gonna go there. And we're going to do fabric painting, but it's a different kind of fabric painting. I brought a sample of that. So what you do is you quilt out, but you actually quilt. All you do is outline some simple little design. And this is based on a molding
Jim, okay? And then, you do this to begin with, and then in the park, we're going to show them how to paint, and they end up with. But they get to choose their design, but if you draw like a, you know, an 8-year-old or something, just make the design simple, quilt it. This is on the black outline, and then that keeps the paint from running into each other. And so that's kind of some of the fun things we're doing. So other than that, we've done, you know, the magazine challenge, the paint chip challenge, and all that. So we were trying to find something else to do. So that's why I'm trying to keep it short here for you. Any questions? Okay, yay.
I'm Greg Tillman from the Wellman area, and we have 41 members, and we charge $15 for dues. We meet at the Wellman Senior Center the third Monday of the month at 7 o'clock. We do take July and December off. We host 2 potlucks a year, one for Thanksgiving and Christmas in November, and then again one in March. That's our fiscal year starts over. In March, we have an auction where members bring items to donate, and the money raised from that is what we fund speakers, etc. We always have an ongoing, each year you start with a UFO list, and anybody that completes it has to be bound and finished. Quilt that's on their UFO list. There's prizes given out at the end of the year. We did the most programs. We have a program committee that provides ideas to the president. Some programs this year include group quiltings, like, you know, swap blocks, etc. There's several different ones, round robin, charity quilt blocks, and different block swaps that you can choose whether you want to participate in or not. But the president's challenge this year is to make a scrap quilt. Anything you want to make, any pattern, as long as you only use your scraps. Fabric weaving is a choice, as one of the programs. A night at the local quilt shop, Stitch and Sew always does one evening where they show some new things. One thing we're going to do this year is bring out the old girls. So if you have vintage quilts, you're to bring them to show and tell a story about that quilt. We bring refreshments. We have a sign up for someone to bring refreshments each evening. I think I said about the President's Challenge. One year thing we did last year, we had the President's Challenge. Each month they gave you a new project, so you could choose to participate, but you didn't have to. But they put your name in a drawing, and if you wanted to participate, in one month we made bags, so you were making a bag for somebody else, or aprons, pin cushions, miniatures. So that was fun. And again, you could choose if you wanted to participate in that project or not. UFO charities, our main charities is making quilts for SNCU. And I think by now we have made more than 300 quilts, and that's at the University of Iowa. These quilts go on patients' bed when they know they aren't going to in their last days, and then the quilts goes home with the families. We also make quilts for foster children, Catholic Worker House. It's a shelter house, and they want children's or bed-sized quilts. And we usually about once or twice a year have a charity sew in.
And we do have some long-arm quilters in our guild that quilt a lot of these for us, but sometimes we just get together at Stitch and Sew and just have a sew day to finish these tops that get turned in. And next week is the quilt show in Kelowna, so next weekend we have that going on. And this year we're going to, our guild is going to have a booth there just to show some of the stuff we did and let the community know we're there, and if hopefully draw more interest to our guild. And we do have the guild is putting on a retreat at the Eastern Iowa Bible Camp the first weekend in May. So they'll be participating in that. That's Thursday through Sunday. You can sign up to go to that. And I personally myself put on a quilt retreat there in Kelowna. Always, usually it's the first weekend or the last weekend of March, and then the first weekend in October. So that is what our guild has done for this year. If I can just put in a little plug, I brought these along. I'm doing a bus trip to the Kansas City Regional Quilt Show. And so we're leaving Kelowna on the 14th, which is a Wednesday. And we're shop hopping the first day. And then we'll spend the night in Liberty and then go to the quilt show the second day. So if you're interested, I have some flyers.
What month?
June. It's June 14th, 15th.
Country quilters.
All right, bear with me. I've only been in my group for about a year and a half. And they did not really prepare me for what I was gonna have to do here, so. But I'm with the Town and Country Quilters group in Makokada. We meet the first Monday of the month, and our dues are $20 per year. We also have Sew Along Saturday every third Saturday of the month in the same location that we have our meetings. That's just to get together on any projects that we're working on as a group or your own individual things. What else? So every August, I think it's like the first Wednesday in August, we have Quilt of Valor presentations. We have about 20 to 30, depending on the year. We do that at the bowling alley in Makokada. Some projects that we've done recently, we do a lot of like lap quilts for the senior living homes in Makokada, as well as like walker bags, like tie on to the walkers. A lot of quilts for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And then we are just starting doing those same quilts for University of Iowa for like organ donor patients, so that those families can take those home. Next year is going to be 35 years for our group, and so we are putting on a quilt show at the Makokada Art Experience. That will be in, I believe, April next year. Yeah, that's what I'll have. Oh, we have about like 45 members. I'd say we probably have like 35 that come to each meeting.
Calico Cutups Independence.
Hi, I'm Carmen Ireland from the Calico Cutups in Independence. We meet at Emmanuel Lutheran Church on the first Thursday at 7 p.m. We have about 48 members, about 35 or so come each week. I have to tell you where we're all from though. Oldwine, Fayette, Dunkerton, Independence, Raleigh, Walker, Vinton, Urbana, Marion, Jessup, Hazelton, Waterloo, LaPorte City, Frederickson, West Wheaton, Elkader. You'll have to excuse me, I'm from Minnesota, so some of these. Cedar Falls, Dizer, Winthrop, and Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. So, yeah, we have them coming from quite an area for only 48 of us. During our meetings, usually we have a little prayer request. And then birthdays for the month where they get to choose a fat quarter. Then we have our program. Lately, it's been mostly the individual people doing it. We don't have a lot of money coming in, so we don't have a lot of speakers. Otherwise, we have some of the quilt shops stop by and do a presentation with inventing whatever they like doing. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. The other thing I have done this year is like bring your favorite tool and explain why it's your favorite tool or your favorite ruler. This next month, I'm having bring your UFO, and we're going to decide, or you decide why you didn't finish that. It's because it's turning out kind of ugly, or just got bored with it, or whatever. And maybe encourage them to go ahead and finish it, donate it, whatever. We have our regular meetings in August and December. We have usually our picnic, and then in December we have our Christmas party, and we have games and exchange gifts, that sort of thing. We also do charity work. This year we're doing small blankets for orphans, or to go into police cars for kids that were in fires or whatever and need a little extra security. We also do fabric swaps. We are having a fall retreat in September, October. It's usually that last weekend of September, the beginning of October. Other things we have done is like Christmas stockings for the nursing homes, gift bags, walker bags. Some of them we stuff, some of them we just give a little candy or whatever. And then this year also for the quilt challenges, I picked out a bunch of 14-inch blocks, and we've been making the blocks in whatever colors you choose. And probably by October, we'll have them all done, and hopefully you can have them put together and go from there. And that's about all I have. Any questions? None from Minnesota?
Muscatine, Mel and Patrick. Yeah.
I'm Cindy Clark from the Mount Patrick's Quilt Guild in Muscatine. We have 49 members. Again, probably 30 are regular attendees. We meet the fourth Thursday of the month at Musserville Church, Methodist Church, at 7 o'clock most months. We have had some Zoom meetings. Back when COVID was its nasty self, that was all we had was Zoom. It was hard for some people, but as time went on, it got a little bit better. And now we are still keeping our Zoom account. We actually, this month is a Zoom meeting, and we are meeting at this month because Musserville was busy. We're going to meet at Pizza Ranch in one of their meeting rooms. And so you can either come and attend the meeting, or you can participate by Zoom from home. We have one member for sure that can't come to meetings yet because her husband is
prone to infections and things, so she doesn't get out in groups like that, so we still have that option for our meetings, if you want to attend by Zoom. We're not movie makers, so it's it's not the best, but she said that she gets, sees the show and tell, she sees our speakers. And then also with the Zoom, it's a way for us to have speakers that we wouldn't be able to afford. We've had speakers from California. This month, actually, our speakers from California. And so it's kind of a hybrid. We don't do it all the time, but it's an option that we use. We have our Comfort Quilt group meets on the third Thursday at Island Methodist Church. They make quilts, they make placemats, and this year, one of our meetings to help Comfort Quilts, we had a meeting where we made those reading pillows. And we ended up making 68 reading pillows at our meeting. And they went to one of the schools. We had a reading pillow for everyone in the 2nd grade. So I think we've had books for them and had it for everyone in the 2nd grade. It was really, and then the next month we had all these little thank you notes from the kids. They wrote to us. They were just so cute. It was fun. We are going to have a quilt show. We have a quilt show every 3 years. And this time our quilt show will be in April of 2024. We have gone away from doing a raffle quilt, and we have a sponsor. The last 3 quilt shows, we've had a sponsor who give us a donation, and then we make a custom quilt for that sponsor. We've had a bank, we've had another GPC in Muscatine, and one of our members actually has a group or an organization that she has, and she's our sponsor this year. And she said that she was our very first one also, and she said she doesn't need another quilt, so what she wants us to do is give back to the community, and her is helping seniors. And so we are making lap quilts, the bags to go on the front of walkers, things like that. And we're going to make them from now through our quilt show next year. We're going to then have them all at the quilt show and present them to our sponsor. And what else was I going to say? Oh, at our quilt show, we have Grandma's Attic and Treasures to Own, different things to bring people in. When we have vendors also. Yeah.
And you don't have to schlep it all over the countryside.
Yeah. Members have to buy the tickets. Yeah, the members, they just got so burnt out on that. And then also they were telling us that we had to get a gambling license. We just didn't want to do all that. So we went this route, and it was a little, this year, I'm head of the quilt show this year, wouldn't you know? And it was really hard finding a vendor. I didn't think it would be that hard. I went, or a sponsor, I mean, okay. And I went around to a lot of the businesses in Muscatine that I thought, because our theme is bridging to the future. And, I thought we'll get some Muscatine interest in this. And it's just a hard time for everyone. That's a hard time. What is your sponsor? We've had all the way from 3,000 up to 4,000.
Yeah. Okay, Hawkeye Heritage Quilt Guild. Yeah.
I have this to stand behind. Sharon Brown from Hawkeye Heritage Quilters. First, I want to thank Eastern Iowa Heirloom Quilters for hosting this today. This is just a real lifesaver for people who are having to come up with programs like me. So it's very, very interesting. Most of our information about our club is on the purple flyer. We do have about 50 members. We're down from COVID, but we're gradually getting people back. Where we meet, our dues and everything are on that flyer. We did just finish our quilt show. Sorry, we couldn't invite you all to it at this meeting. I had it all written down and I thought, oh no, this is going to be after our show. We did have a good attendance. Our challenge for the show for quilts was an art quilt. It was sponsored by a presentation we had from Wendy Reed, an art quilter, and Gail Maddie and Barb. I didn't catch your last name and I couldn't find it. Velhart. They came to our club and did the little face collages that she showed you. So everybody was excited about that. So an art quilt was our challenge at the show. So it was both presentations were very much appreciated and we really enjoyed them both. We do have what we call sew days 4 times a year. That's a 2-day, a Friday and a Saturday. One day you're kind of asked to work on charity quilts. The next day it's a free sew for anything you want to do. Some of the charity things that we're working on, pillowcases, of course. We do make cuddle quilts and pillowcases for DHS in Des Moines County. We don't like to have very many of those. They use those to take out when children are pulled from the home or pulled somewhere and they have nothing to take with them. So we're always glad when we call and they aren't needing any, but they're there if they do. We make cuddle quilts, comfort hug pillows. I get those mixed up, and walker bags for the hospital in Burlington. We put out quite a few of those because those are going out with patients as they come. We do have the one quilt show every other year. Plus we have a mini quilt show at the Des Moines County Fair. It's not quite as big. We do have a good attendance from that. People have just learned that we're in the student union building and they do come. We have a challenge for that. I don't know what it's going to be this year. They kind of go along with the theme of the fair. We've had farmers market bags. We've made aprons. We've made pin cushions as a challenge for that. As far as other challenges, we didn't do too many challenges this year so far because we were getting ready for the quilt show. So I kind of laid off for a while, but I've got some things planned. Some of the other challenges that we've had, though, that I didn't hear mentioned, we had a pinwheel challenge, ugly fabric. People to make things out of ugly fabric. And that's amazing what you can do with an ugly piece of fabric. It's amazing. The pin cushions, we had a presentation on a string quilt by one of our members, and that became a challenge. And then last year we had a block of the month where I provided 2 blocks each month. And then members were told to do anything with those they wanted. I was fairly new. I didn't know how busy people were. Some people just made table runners. Other people made a complete quilt out of it. So that's some of the things we're doing. I haven't mentioned that our challenge this year, we inherited a lot of orange fabric. So they're going to have a challenge of making something out of orange fabric. I don't know how that's going to go. Maybe I won't have to stop very long. That might be okay too. Like I said, we had Gail, Maddie, and Barb do the face collage presentation. Wendy Reed did a presentation on her journey through quilting. Marianne Crawford, tips on making a scrap quilt, was really interesting. Kathy Bush is coming later in July. And we're working possibly on a trip to Winterset to the museum and the quilt store next to it. I got broadsided with the cost of buses or vans to go, so we're working that out. I think that's about all I had. Oh, no, I wanted to mention one thing. Everybody wanted something different for our Christmas party. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I remembered that one of the gentlemen in our town recites cowboy poetry. And so at our Christmas potluck, he came and recited cowboy poetry. I really sweat that one, but everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. So, you know, sometimes a little something different is fun. It's fun. So, any questions? Yep. Thank you.
Did I miss any of the guilds? Have all the guilds presented? Okay, I guess it's my turn. I'm with the Iowa County Heartland Quilters, and we're having a quilt show this July, end of July, and there's a flyer in the packet. This is our raffle quilt. And we have about 30 members. Dues are $20 and for the year, and we meet in the Williamsburg Public Library. And they've been kind enough to also sponsor a community sew 4 times a year alongside us. So and then before our meetings, if there's nothing else scheduled, we can go in at 2 o'clock and sew until our meeting, you know, if we have projects we want to work on. This year, some of the programs that we've had are how to ready your quilts for the long arm quilter. And this month we had Dorothy Fadley from the State Fair Quilts come and talk to us, and that was interesting. In August, we'll have a tea party with a Sunbonnet Sue theme. And evidently there's a story about Sunbonnet Sue that one of the members is going to read, and we'll have invite guests. Each person is to invite a guest. September is our annual meeting with our election of officers. And in October, in the past, we had gone out to Highland Ridge, which is an elderly housing facility, and had a program. Sometimes old time music. I think the square dancers went out there once. Some kind of program that they might be interested in seeing, and have cookies, and then we have our meeting out there. November, we have a technique fair, in December, a potluck. We have a show and tell every month, and a roll call theme that usually corresponds with what the program is. We have books. We have a guild library, but it's actually in the public library, so anybody can check them out, but they're we donate the books. In our booklet this year, we've had a tip of the month for each month. And then a newsletter is emailed or mailed to those that don't have email each month. Let's see, am I forgetting anything? Oh, our challenges this year were round robin challenge or a row by row. And hopefully those will be completed before our quilt show, so we can have those displayed. We have in our area what's called the Love Network at Christmas time. They have a list of families that are in need of assistance for the holidays. And we make a cash donation, food and quilts. We have an honor quilt project. And I think we've done about 90 in the county so far, with more to be done. But it's very much appreciated. A lot of those veterans will turn around and make a cash donation to our project. They're very appreciative. That's about it, I think. Are there any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the teachers. Diane, right now? Okay, here I come. You're fine. I guess I don't need my phone. I don't need it. It's one more thing in my hand here that I don't need. Hello, everybody. I'm Diane Murtha. I'm glad to be here. I have spoken to multiple of the guilds here before, but I do keep my challenges lecture fresh by adding in new quilts from different challenges and more lessons learned. I have the slow stitching lecture, which is very popular. And then I just added last year, License to Play. And it talks about how to modify a pattern to truly make it your own. And then in addition to that, at the end of the lecture, the guild can pick 3 quilts or members of the guild who want me to look at their quilt and give them suggestions on what to do to either finish it. Somebody mentioned about UFOs and why you don't get them done. What you can do or how you can change it. And that's been a lot of fun. People really like that. The 3 of my most popular workshops I have hanging over there: the modified quilt as you go, the Hexies, which is a quilt as you go, and then a 3-dimensional flower class. The 3-dimensional flower quilt is bigger than what we do in class, but that one just won an award at a quilt show, so I thought I'd bring that just to show you what all you can do with 3-dimensional stuff. I am teaching next week at AQS Paducah for the first time. All 3 of those classes sold out almost immediately. I am teaching the 3-dimensional class in Winterset. It used to be called the Airing of the Quilts, and now they've expanded it for 1 week, almost. And Ricky Timms is going to be there. They have a retreat and multiple classes, and I will be teaching the 3-dimensional class on May 31st, and you can sign up through the Iowa Quilt Museum. Let me see here. Okay, and another exciting news is I just self-published my first book, Artful Quilting and Insight. Thank you. And then I have some great reviews from Bonnie Hunter and Marianne Pons on the back. So they were very gracious to review the book and say some kind words. And then I passed one of these out for everybody. And while I would love for you to buy my book, and I have it with me today, $19.99, but even if, as a self-publisher, even if you just go to the website, either BookBaby or Amazon, and you can scan the code, it helps with the analytics, because then the Amazon is more likely, even though it's print on demand, if they see more people looking at the page, they're more likely to keep the book in stock. So that does help for the people who do order it to get it quicker. So if you could help with that, I'd appreciate it. Let's see. I also write for the Shop Hop magazines, Family Motor Coach Association magazine, because we travel a lot in our RV, and for Quilt Folk magazine. So you may see my articles in those places, as well as the Art Quilt magazine. One comment, although I'd like you to all hire the teachers from the network, I do want to give you a suggestion for guilds with on a stricter budget. Tammy
Findlay, Findley. She does, it's called the Art of the Apron. And she does a program on vintage aprons, so it's not quilting related. But I just took my mom to see it at a local library and she really enjoyed it. It was very interesting. She had people bring their aprons and she talked about them as well. So it's very low cost. She has a Facebook site. So you can look at that. And that's all I have. If the people from Albany could stay, I want to talk to you about your funny faces. I don't get away without me talking with you. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Melanie McNeil. Here.
I hadn't seen the whole room until now, so this is. Thanks to the host guild for having us here today and for taking care of that, and to the board for pulling everything together. My name's Melanie McNeil. I've been a quilter for 20 years. And I'm here today because I also am a presenter besides being a quilter and designer. It's been fun being back on the road finally after kind of a hiatus over the last 4 years, actually 3-4 years, whatever it's been. It's been a long time. And so I've been able to get out to a couple of guilds so far this year. I had 2 that were canceled because of, tornadoes. It's no big deal. I'm gonna come back for Pella in July, and I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna be in Ankeny in November, and hopefully can reschedule with Nebraska City soon as well. So I have 3 different programs that I do. There's a sheet in your packet that hopefully got in your packet. Looks like this, that you can look for to find my contact information and information about my 3 programs. One of them, my most popular program, is Top 10 Tips for Magnificent Medallion Quilts. And I would hope that my fellow guild members here would agree with me that I'm rather an expert, and that sounds really not humble, so excuse me for that. But I've probably literally written more about medallion quilt design and strategies for making them turn out well than anyone. And that's a fact, and it again doesn't sound humble, and I'm sorry about that, but I specialize in medallions and have for a long time. So Top 10 Tips for Magnificent Medallion Quilts is going to help you if you've got like one great block that you made and then you thought, I never want to make one more of these. What are you going to do with that one great block? Well, you can center it in a medallion quilt and turn the great block into something really fantastic and unique to you. So that's one of my programs. Another that I was able to present to the Muscatine group recently is it improv? The difference between improvisational style and improvisational process, because those are not the same thing. And then recently also I was with the Mahaska group, and they were fantastic too, and talked about life is funny. Things happen in our lives that we don't expect. And for me, one of the most unexpected is all the gifts that quilting has brought for me. So I was able to provide this fun trunk show and also some stories about how I've proceeded through my quilting life. So 3 programs that I've got. I brought a couple of examples of quilts just so you can see what I'm talking about. Also, I want to be sure to say, Diane, you mentioned the winter set. The Iowa Quilt Museum has now got a full Iowa Quilt Festival going on. They still call the Saturday the airing of the quilts. And I'm really honored to have the solo exhibition in the Winterset Art Center, which I think they did that. And so I'm super excited about that. But this is one of my medallion quilts. I brought small examples, but hopefully everybody can see that. And one with kind of an improv take, so you can see also the improvisational part. Actually, that was also improvisational process. This will give you more of an idea of improvisational style. And finally, I have to share this. I'm really sorry, but I just pulled this off machine this morning about 15 minutes before I left the house. So she's raw. She needs to be blocked and bound, but here's my thoughts. So if your guild is looking for someone to present, if, for instance, perhaps even you've got somebody kind of you had lined up, and goodness knows these days people can cancel weather, illness, or whatever it might be. If you'd like to have somebody come, get in touch with me if I'm free and I can do that. I'd certainly be happy to talk with you. So thank you everybody for your attention, and enjoy your quilting.
I'm Wendy Reed.
Hi. I am Wendy Reed. I live in Fairfield. And I love sharing my love of quilting. I teach 4 different classes. I do tend to lean towards art quilting, but I started off with the log cabin and Seminole patchwork. Kind of got stuck because I just loved the variability that you could do with those. And so I do teach Seminole patchwork besides some of my art quilting classes. I teach free motion quilting. So you can start quilting your own quilts instead of sending them off to be quilted by somebody else. I don't think you can see the quilting on the front very well. Hopefully you can see a little better on the back. I also do embellishing of a number of different types. I didn't bring enough quilts. I didn't want to bring my whole selection of quilts to show you all the examples, but I do embellish. I do teach embellishing, which includes beading and applying gauze or other fun fabrics to create different designs. Sure. Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. So yeah, so there's a lot of thread painting, free motion quilting, applying of, I used a lot of hand painted gauze on this one.
So what do you call that? I can see it, but they probably can't.
Oh, you wanted the name?
Yeah, the name of it.
That is Rebirth, the light at the end of the tunnel. The year before COVID.
Yeah.
And little did I know. I thought that was a rough year. This is a little more of an example of some of the things I teach. The butterfly and all the flowers are done on the sewing machine with only on I only use dissolvable stabilizer. So you can decorate your quilts with flowers, beads, butterfly, anything that you can think of. You can either make it or create it in some way. And oh, that's it. Any questions? Oh dear, it would have to be the one that's
Say again.
Valerie? Yeah, okay.
I'm Valerie Bonk. I'm from Grundy Center, Iowa. I'm also part of that Not So Perfect Piecer set, or known as the KSPPers. I'm one of 3 certified, AQS certified quilt appraisers. There's another one in the room. You'll hear from her. I work with the museum's winter set and also Kelowna. I will also be down there in winter set for the airing of the quilts. I'll be doing quilt appraisals and consultations down there. I help them out when they need help with patterns, programs. Also, if they need appraisals for their donation, for their donees that are donating quilts to their museum's winter set doesn't have a lot of their own quilts, but Kelowna does. And so we do a lot of that to help Nancy out and also Clarissa up in down in Winterset. I've done Facebook Live with different quilt shops and also guilds when they've wanted a program. And the museum. Usually when I go down to Winterset, Clarissa's great at pulling out her phone and says, can we do this Facebook? And so some of you may have seen I was doing an appraisal on one of Mary Ann's quilts that she just happened to bring in for the day. And of course I have, I says, well, you have to ask Mary Ann if that's okay, it's her quilt. And she did. A lot of people say that, okay, we didn't see any, we didn't hear what the value was. Well, that's not something we share. And that's okay. I know a lot of faces that are in here. I've been to your guilds or I've done appraisals for you. I also have a program called Tree Roots, and it's about old and new quilts. It's about how the tree quilts have evolved and how they come into our lives in different ways that we show about our roots. The different techniques, how they've changed over time, and also how the trees and quilts have come together through the time, where the designs have come from. Well, we all know as a tree of life is probably not a tree of life. It's probably, there's many, many different names for them. There's many, many different designers, as we know, there's many designers. And how does our tree roots come into our today quilts and what we use? So it's about an hour of learning and sharing. I also, as I said, I am an appraiser. I do appraisals, I do consultations for different groups, individuals, and guilds. Just about, you say you got a quilt you want me to look at, I'm there. So, okay. And Charlene will talk about, I do a program with Charlene Richmeyer. She's another AQS certified quilt appraiser. And we have a program that we do together that's a lot of fun. I know I've done it. We've done it for many of your guilds and ask them what we're like. There's a lot of giggling that goes on. There's a lot of fun. So, okay. Any other questions?
Are you going to talk about Iowa, Illinois Quilt Study Group?
Yes.
Very important with that.
Yes. At the Kelowna Museum, there's an Iowa, Illinois Quilt Study Group that anyone is involved with. I do have bookmarks for that if you'd like some. We do different topics. We meet twice a year in the A months, the 1st of April and also the 1st of August. And we have people come, we have national speakers there, and we also have our local Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Missouri. We've had people from all over that come to the group at times. If you like antique quilts, you like history, you like to know different things about quilts, that's what the Iowa, Illinois Quilt Study Group is about. It's a lot of fun to come. You don't have to commit to being a member for the rest of your life. If you just want to come for that specific topic, that's fine too. Okay, anything else? Yes,
Where can we find information about that? I will in the quilt study.
I have the bookmarks with me, and I can give you the bookmarks. Okay? Thank you.
It might go next.
I think so.
It might
I
be
somebody.
Ollie.
You are.
Okay, hi, I'm Charlene Richmeyer, and I'm the other one of the 3 AQS certified appraisers that's in this room. We have, well, that's in Iowa, Valerie and I, and then there's Jennifer Perkins. There are only 78 certified appraisers in the world right now. And so if any of you are at all interested in appraising, we'd sure like to talk with you, because you get to appraise quilts from all over the world. It's a fascinating sort of deal. It's a little difficult, but it's kind of fun too. It's really fun. We do this, let's talk about your quilt. And as Val said, we've been to a lot of your guilds, not for the last 4 years, but it's great to see that everybody's getting back in motion here. And the program chairs are starting to reach out. And we are setting up some contracts for 2024, but we're still available for 2023. And I don't know, Melanie, who was it that said, if somebody cancels out, contact her, but also as appraisers, if your guild has something scheduled and you lose your appraiser or your presenter for that day, you can contact Valerie and I, and if we're available, like Val says, you say you've got a quote for us to look at, we'll be there. What we do is we ask that every person that comes to the guild meeting that we're speaking at to bring a quilt, one quilt, and we put 3 big rectangular tables together and we lay the quilts out full open. And we ask the owner, what can you tell us about the quilt? And then we fill in with other information about the quilt. It's kind of like what you were talking about too, you know, just why didn't you finish, was that you? Why didn't you finish that UFO? Okay, somebody else said that. But, you know, people have things they like to talk about and things they don't like to talk about their quilts. And it's fun to just get the information going and share it. Come on. We try to include information about the date of the quilt, the design of the quilt, the quilt block, what kind of fabrics are in there. And we always try to put in what was going on in this country when that quilt was made. What is the historical interest in that quilt? And it gets into presidential elections, and it gets into tiling the marshy wetlands, and it gets into barbed wire fences out in the west, and you know, we can talk about all kinds of stuff, and people don't realize that quilts have stories to tell, and we like to relate all of those things. Some of you are nodding your head, so you've probably seen us, and we have had people come up to us and say, well, I wasn't going to come because I figured there wasn't anything you were going to be able to tell me that I didn't already know about quilts. And they were so glad that they came, and they always say they learn a lot, and we do a lot of laughing, and we do make it funny, and there are hysterical things about historical quilts, but it's always fun. We've never had anybody upset or angry at us too much. Although when there's somebody that comes up and, oh yeah, great aunt so-and-so had to smuggle this out under the walls of the fort and past the Indians, and you know, in the 1870s, and we're looking at it and we're seeing 1950s fabric. We kind of have to, maybe you're thinking of a different quilt. Maybe this isn't the quilt. So, yeah, there's funny stuff. We can talk a little bit about quilt restoration and repair and the etiquette of giving quilts and the ethics of appraising quilts, et cetera, et cetera. Every quilt has a story to tell. We would love to talk with your program chairs or your presidents, or your board members or somebody and fill in some dates when you might be interested in having us come. I will say too, since COVID, the value of quilts, the bottom just dropped out. And it's slowly, your quilts are regaining some value. Some quilts more than others. But we have found that people are more interested in a consultation where we can just sit down and talk with them about the quilt and the information, rather than saying the value of this quilt is thus and such. We used to say we required 6 written appraisals at $50 or $60 a piece. But we're not even so much concerned about that now. We are interested in doing consultations, $30 per quilt, and helping you, give you as much information except for value. You know, we're dropping our requirements. Yeah, we would like to have quite a few, but we don't charge a presentation fee. We just charge for individual consultations or appraisals. So, you know, we do ask for our mileage and we do ask for our motel, but any of your presentations are gonna, that's just how that works. Yeah. Questions?
What are some of the older quilts, the dates on some of the oldest quilts that you appraised or looked at?
That we have appraised?
1700.
Yeah, 1700s. We don't see much in 1600s. We have seen those in museums, but we've not appraised those. And we have Val just appraised a really fabulous quilt a couple of weeks ago. It was one of the 100 best quilts of the 20th century. It had previously been appraised, but the people needed a new appraisal, and that was a treat. That was, yeah, it's in Iowa, it's in Grinnell, Iowa, and these people, wow, it was fabulous. And we've gotten to appraise some spectacular things. I did one best of show at Paducah, and I will tell you a funny story about that, and then I'll shut up. Okay. They tell me every once in a while at our quilt guild, the not so perfect piecers, to shut up. I forgot what I was gonna tell you. Oh, the best of show. That was the year in Paducah that they had a special exhibition of all of the, for 25 years, best of show. And Val and I are walking around and we're just drooling. Oh, ever appraise. How do you go about? Oh, wow. We get back to our motel room and on our phones. Well, the best of show winner for this year has decided she would like to have her quilt appraised. It's your turn, because we kind of back and forth. So I had to have this little talk to myself because I wasn't willing to call Gerald Roy and say, I don't know how to do this. That would not have been good. I mean, he certified me, so he thinks I know how to do this. Anyway, so I said, Self, this is no different than any other quilt. You just do this the same as you do any other quilt. And I had to muster up my courage, and I had about 24 hours before I had to face the quilt. And I did it, but you know, there are some that just throw you back a little bit. You just get your, yeah, that helped a little. Yeah. We'd love to come to your quilt guild and talk about your quilts. And the oldest, readiest one on the bottom of the trunk that you think you don't even want to show in public is probably the most interesting one that will show up there. So anything utilitarian, heirloom, anything works. Other questions? Yes, Loretta.
I happen to be a recipient of this, and you haven't mentioned it, you have a fabulous newsletter that reaches hundreds of people, and everything is being available on the.
Yes, how many of you get my quotations newsletter or have gotten it? If you would like to get that, I can we can put your name on I can add you to my mailing list. You have to ask me, there's no cost, and it's hysterical, it's very unique. Recipes, brain teasers, funny stories. I have to read a lot of not funny ones before I find the funny ones, but the funny ones make it in. Yeah. But it tells all the places, and I'm gonna try and go through again and catch all of you who have said our quilt show is when. If you send me a little bit more information about when your quilt show is, I'll put you on the advance notice, and I'll write 2 or 3 months before your quilt show. I will put whatever you want in there for a blurb. You know, what your theme is, where the location is, what your admission is. If you have vendors, if you have raffle quilts, anything you want to tell me, and a contact person. Yeah, give me that.
So it's in your.
It's in my packet.
Yeah, but I'll give it to you.
Okay. We did on March 31st, an appraisal day at Kelowna. This was the first time that we had done this. And it was open to the public, but it was successful too. And I tried to contact many of you from the previous list from this meeting in the year before to help talk about, we're going to do appraisals if you want an appraisal done or know of somebody. So, yeah, we're tornado. And it was a tornado, and Grace, you didn't talk about that. You had exciting, interesting. Why don't you mention that?
Well, when we're actually having our retreat, and the tornado warning came up, and we ended up in the basement of the church. And the tornado did not hit us, but it was within a half mile of my house, which I live up by Wellman, and we were in Kelowna. And one of the ladies at my retreat lost her farm. Everything was gone. She got a call saying, you don't have a house to come home to. So, yeah, it was real.
And you sent out emails to kind of update people that had been at all aware of that. I appreciated that. It wasn't in that. Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many people. Well, of course, I mean, I had people there that were not just from the Kelowna area, and they all were, you know, very concerned for the people that were affected by the tornado and wanted to help and do something, especially the gal that was there. And so, yeah, I did kind of keep in contact so they knew what was going on and that she was okay, and we did take up a little collection for her and helped her with a lot of things. And there is still one lady that was at that retreat. She made 40 blocks to put a quilt together. It was in this box, and after she came home, she cannot find that box in the box. She's still searching for them. They did not blow in the tornado. I'm still trying to figure out what happened to that box. Somebody has had contact.
Yeah.
That sounds like right.